Hey everybody, and welcome to part 4 of our trapping series. Today we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to build a Arapuca bird cage. Now the Arapuca bird cage can be used with deadfall triggers to catch live game, to live trap. And it also can be used to house animals or contain animals back at your camp. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later. I'm going to look around for some materials and I'll be back with you here in just a minute. You can see here we have some materials gathered up. Some of it's green, which I cut with my saw. And then some of it is just dead stuff laying on the ground. I just broke off, so it's not really all that critical. So now let me get my stuff together here and we'll get going on this. Okay, so we're going to start off with two of our larger pieces. The reason we're going to do that is because we want this cage to be bottom heavy. So using these two more substantial pieces on the bottom will give us that. And you may be able to see one of these is just a little bit longer than the other, but we should be able to compensate for that when we tie our cordage on. What we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of pieces of cordage. I'm just going to tie it right on to the end here. I'm not going to get super fancy with my knot. I'm just going to tie a good old granny knot. Okay, so I got that tied onto that stick. I'm going to go ahead and cross this over so I can determine what size my cage is actually going to be. Because if you tie these on straight like this, you're going to make it a little bit longer. You're going to compensate for the fact that you're going to have to twist this around into an X shape. So that's why I go ahead and just do this way now. That way I don't have to worry about that later. So I'm going to kind of get that about where I want it, where I think I want it. I'm going to wrap it around a couple times and then just tie it off with that granny knot on one side. And then, make sure I get it good and tight. I want to make sure that I'm tying these off evenly. I want to line my two pieces up here. I want to make sure when I'm tying it off, I'm tying these off the same distance. Because if I tie this one off down here, that's going to make my cage oblong whenever I put it together. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that with my pocket knife here. Just cut a little spot. That way I know that's where I'm going to want my string to run. Tighten it all back up. Try to get this to about the same tension here. Because you want these pieces of cordage to be somewhat the same length. Tie it off. Then you're going to end up with that. You see here they're straight, and then you're going to twist it around. You're going to have that X pattern with your cordage. Okay, so now that you got your X pattern, start feeding in your sticks. One on this side. One on this side. You can see that's not quite working out right there. I didn't get my two pieces of cordage right. This piece is a little bit shorter than this piece. So I'm going to try to cheat here. Just wrap that back around the back side. See if that shortens it up enough here. Looks like that might work. Your other piece in through this way. Push it all the way up until it won't go no further. And as you go up, you're going to keep adding tension to your cage here. mind, like I said, the bigger sticks you use, the bigger gaps you're going to have in between your bars. And the rougher bark you use, the more friction you're going to have as you go along. It's another thing to keep in mind. You use a real smooth bark, you're going to have these slipping around a little bit more. Kind of adjust as you go. You see that stick broke. So that's a good point there. You want to make sure you're using sticks that aren't going to break on you. That one was actually a little short when I put it in there, I noticed, so that could have been the problem too. Easily fixed though, we just replace it with a better stick and move on. It's all about adjustment. You're always going to run into little issues and problems. You just got to overcome them and think of a way to work past it, work through it. You also got to be aware of what kind of cordage you're using, how much stress that cordage can handle too. Now if I was using a natural cordage, I wouldn't want to put near this kind of strain on that cordage. Now, I'm going to start trying to fill it in. Try to stick one more in there, tighten it up. And there you go. Like I said before, you can see this one is actually a little bit oblong. You could probably go through, make some adjustments. That. Now you see you have to add another stick, no big deal. Just take the small one out and add another big one. If you wanted to get too picky, you could probably take one. End up breaking my cordage here. One, put it over the top of them all, kind of hold them down just to be safe. You could also tie a rock or some kind of weight up on top of this. That way if you did use it for a trap trigger, when it did fall, it'd be weighted down. A few other options to fasten it into place, but we'll cover those in later videos. Well, thanks for coming along for part 4 of the survival trapping series. Just a short little video on building the Arapuca bird cage. Yes, that is how you pronounce it, I do believe. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.